It all begins in a city overcome by total chaos, with people frantically screaming everywhere. That's when our young man grasps how dire things are and tells himself he needs to act quickly. Meanwhile, some guy on a balcony is grumbling that his coffee is too bitter, completely oblivious to the monsters right below him. On a laptop, someone playing League of Legends yells that he saw on the news that people are turning into zombies. But our protagonist seems unconcerned, only muttering about the noise his teammates are making. He then asks his teammate, who's low on health, if his girlfriend is nearby to give him a little love bite. The friend replies that he must be a psychic because she is in fact biting him at that very moment. We then see the guy's girlfriend, and he tells her not to stop what they're doing. However, when he turns around, the kid sees his girl has morphed into a grotesque creature and is completely horrified. The teammate screams desperately for help, but our protagonist tells him not to worry. And just like that, he gets rid of his useless team and secures the win. But immediately after, he hears a loud sound. Someone bangs on his door, introducing herself as his neighbor, Louis Wei, and pleading with him to open up. When he answers, he finds his terrified neighbor asking for help to hide from some crazed people outside. Our protagonist says he can assist her, but on one condition, and asks her to close her eyes first. The girl agrees, thanking him and saying she'll do anything he asks if he helps her. Suddenly, he strikes the girl with a swift and final blow, without a moment's hesitation. Just like that, he takes down the zombie neighbor, and a system notification appears confirming the elimination. After that, the young man promptly shuts the door to prevent any more trouble from entering his home. Then we get a flashback where our MC explains that he's not some chosen one, but just a normal architect. He goes on to say that an accident dragged him into this apocalypse before he could do anything about it. He then recalls when he tried to help his neighbor, but she transformed and bit him on the neck. Just as he was about to perish for good, the zombie apocalypse survival system activated. With that, a screen appeared displaying his stats, and he noticed his strength had risen a little. Back in the present, he sees the reward for taking out his neighbor was 1 point in the system. However, the noise attracts another monster, which starts consuming the girl on the floor. The bizarre multi-eyed creature then notices our young man's presence and turns towards him. Without a second thought, the monster charges toward the protagonist to make him its next meal. But our guy eliminates it with a single clean shot and gets a notification for another point earned. He then looks at the neighbor, thinking he can't just leave her there to attract more zombies. Sometime later, we see him fatigued, surrounded by a pile of monsters he defeated all by himself. He then observes something strange on the floor and wonders why his neighbor's body has vanished. That's when our MC realizes she must have already been bitten before and sighs, thinking this is going to be a problem. Looking at the mess in the hallway, he grumbles that everything is going to reek and that it would be problematic if anyone saw him like this. With that, our young man decides to bind all the bodies together so he can dispose of them in one go. He then starts hauling the large bundle of zombies out of his apartment. But halfway there, he halts when he hears a strange sound coming from a dark corridor. Up ahead, he sees the silhouette of someone in a wheelchair and goes on high alert. The figure reveals itself to be a grotesque monster with multiple eyes, which lets out a very menacing roar. Wasting no time, the creature rushes toward our young man to try and attack him. However, our MC parries with ease and prepares for a counterattack, recognizing his neighbor. After vanquishing the monster, he jokes that the old man came over on purpose just to give him a wheelchair. So, our MC puts the tied-up bodies in the chair and thanks his departed neighbor for the unforeseen help. After getting rid of the bodies, he leaves the wheelchair in front of apartment 203. Once outside, he reflects that even though he didn't believe in the apocalypse, he must gather supplies. Looking at the bodies, the young man complains that living alone is terrible because he has no one to assist him. At that moment, he whips his head around as if he sensed someone watching him. On a balcony, he sees a bald man and recognizes him as a neighbor's troublemaker son. The bald guy stares at him with a strange smile that doesn't give off any good vibes. Our protagonist remembers this guy bullied him in the past over a stolen bicycle. Back in the present, the young man coldly asks if the neighbor wants something from him. The bald guy is surprised by the kid's audacity and wonders if he's not afraid of attracting monsters, but he figures this is actually a good thing and gets ready to use the kid to his advantage. The bald guy then holds up a sign requesting the young man to get him food because he's starving. The protagonist simply turns around and rejects the request without any explanation. He gets visibly annoyed by the kid's unexpected nerve. He tries a new approach, offering shelter and a chance to go to a secret base with him. However, our young man once again declines the man's offer without a second thought. At this, the bald guy becomes furious and crumples the paper, thinking our guy doesn't know what's good for him. He yells that he'll grant our MC's wish and starts throwing objects from the balcony. The protagonist remains calm and still, as pieces of a plate shatter around him. The noise attracts a few monsters that run to our young man, but he doesn't even flinch. The bald neighbor scoffs and asks if he can't even run away, laughing at the situation. With a swift maneuver, our MC takes down the two creatures and receives system points for the eliminations. Seeing this, the bald guy is shocked and wonders how he suddenly got so strong. He then points to the last monster and says the kid is going to regret disobeying him. But our MC had already captured the creature and is carrying it on his shoulders with a confident look. He then hurls the monster toward the balcony and tells the neighbor it's a little present for him. Yeah, I hope you're looking for that. The bald guy is horrified by the scene and screams in desperation, not knowing what to do with the flying zombie. The creature then grabs him and starts to attack while he's frozen in terror. Meanwhile, our young man rides away on his bike, waving goodbye to his neighbor's screams. He continues on his way, passing a supermarket and earning points for eliminating a few zombies. Inside the store, he snags a bag of supplies and tells the cashier he's taking it all. On his way back, he thinks the supplies and seeds should last, but he needs a superior weapon. A kitchen knife isn't enough to survive in this new world, and he knows it all too well. Looking at the street, he hears a noise and sees the lights of an approaching vehicle, wondering what it is. The engine noise ends up attracting a massive horde of zombies that rushes toward the street. Then, our young man finds himself standing before a huge bus that stops right near him. He shields his eyes from the bright headlights and seems to recognize who's inside the vehicle. In a flashback, we see a woman complaining to a man about getting rid of a child. In the back seat, a little boy weeps while hugging a teddy bear, calling for his mom and dad. The woman gets annoyed by the crying and yells at the boy, threatening to hit him if he doesn't quiet down. She then grabs the steering wheel and demands the driver stop so she can discipline him. With that, the man loses control of the vehicle, and they head toward an inevitable crash. The little boy watches in terror, his eyes full of tears as the scene unfolds. And just like that, their car slams full force into the bus, causing a huge collision. Back in the present, the bus driver mockingly asks if our young man wants a ride, but he quickly changes his mind and says he's not giving him one, laughing as he abandons him to the zombies. The protagonist, however, doesn't move and just glares at the vehicle, gripping his knife tightly. Inside the bus, a student with glasses says they should help our young man. The driver then pulls out a knife and threatens the nerd for trying to tell him what to do. The driver menaces the student, saying he used to take advantage of the students, but now he's the one in charge. With a wicked smile, he says, since the nerd is so kind, he'll send him out to join our protagonist. As the nerd is thrown from the bus, the bully speeds off. Through the rearview mirror, you can see our young man is still standing in the same spot, watching everything. The driver scoffs at him, thinking the kid is a fool for believing he can fight with a knife. But the protagonist declares with conviction that there's no way he's going down here. He then remembers his mother vowing to come back once he became a good and brave adult. Determined to keep that promise, our MC gets ready for action with a resolute look. With a precise motion, he hurls his kitchen knife toward the bus. The knife flies through the air and hits the vehicle's rear tire dead on, popping it instantly. With that, the bus loses control and crashes hard into a pole, shattering the windshield. The driver is ejected and falls to the ground, writhing in pain and begging for help. Our young man approaches on his bike, and the man pleads for assistance, admitting he was wrong. Our MC says he's not sorry, just scared of meeting his end all alone. Smiling, he informs him that his zombie buddies have arrived, and that he'll leave them alone to have some fun. The driver screams in bewilderment, not understanding what the young man is talking about, and desperately pleads for help. Just then, a monster with multiple eyes appears and attacks him without mercy as he screams in pain. Soon after, a horde of zombies surrounds the bus and the driver is completely consumed by them. Our young man continues on his way by bike, not looking back, letting the chaos unfold. A system screen pops up, showing that his strength has increased substantially. After all that, suddenly, a woman with a child calls out to him from a building window, asking him to wait. He stops his bike and asks what she wants, noticing the little girl looks extremely hungry. The woman kneels and begs for a little food, explaining that her husband passed away and they have nothing. He then offers her some pumpkins and melons, which leaves the woman surprised by the proposition. He observes her carefully and seems to notice something interesting inside her apartment. He spots a very cool, decorative sword hanging on the wall behind the woman. The woman explains it belonged to her late husband and offers the sword to him as a form of protection. With a smile on his face, he accepts the gift and thanks the woman for her kindness and the new weapon. He says his goodbyes and leaves, while the little girl asks her mom if that man wasn't a bit odd. Once outside, he admires his new sword and says it's going to be very satisfying to use it on the monsters. But suddenly, a woman jumps from a higher floor of the building. Our guy is left completely stunned, watching the woman on the ground who just kicked the bucket.